Let's do a quick recap of kind of what we talked about yesterday, what we did. Um, but basically, we started yesterday with basically going over what is ECS. We talked about containers. We did a high-level overview of Docker, just the benefits. Kind of talked about the differences of, you know, the old days versus today, how we can move fast, iterate fast, and how we can do it on ECS. And one of the things we did was we got to a point where we were able to build our platform. So in the workshop, one thing we do is that the first thing we do is we build our platform, which is basically our entire network, our all the infrastructure components required, for our environment to be up and running to serve our microservices. And I quote infrastructure because in this workshop we use Fargate. So really, infrastructure is kind of a thing we don't really think about here. Um, so, Brent, was there anything you wanted to add?
No, I think it would be kind of cool to just take a quick spin around what got built and, let's just look and see what we have, and then we'll
Sounds
know where to go from there.
awesome. Yeah. So, okay. So first and foremost, this was all built as code. In the workshop, we use the CDK. This is the AWS Cloud Development Kit, open source project. Essentially, just as a refresher, this gives us the ability to define our infrastructure or our AWS environment as actual code. Um, CDK has the ability to write your infrastructure code as TypeScript, JavaScript, and in this example, we use Python. I just really like Python, so it's hard to tear me away from it. So that's why you will see we use Python here. Um, but as you can see here, this is just a quick little snippet of the code we're using to deploy. Essentially, this is 97 lines of code, which realistically, there's a lot of commented code in there, so um, it's less. But what this builds is, I think the number was 900 and something lines of CloudFormation um, a template, which is in JSON, which the CDK will deploy on our behalf. So we go from 97 lines of code to 900 lines of CloudFormation, and we have an environment. So what did we build? We have a VPC. This is our network footprint for our environment. This is our virtual private cloud, our isolated network. Um, Within that, as you can see in the code, we simply just defined a VPC and our CIDR block. And from this, the CDK was able to basically deploy subnets for us, private and public, span those across three availability zones, build internet gateways, which allow us to have traffic ingress from the internet into our network, NAT gateways to allow our internal resources in the private subnets to reach out to the internet to get resources they need, and routes, um, security groups. There's so much. I'm probably forgetting things, but it's a lot. So all of that was packed into these three lines of code, which really makes me just super happy. I love this. The less code, the better.
It's the reason you can forget things.
Exactly. Why do I have to be? Why do I have to know all of these underlying components when, frankly, AWS has built a set of best practices? We have the well-architected framework. We've been doing this a long time, so we're able to take those opinionated best practices and build them into these constructs. So me as the end user deploying this, I don't have to become an instant expert on how to build an entire VPC with all these resources. Anyway, enough talking about a VPC. I feel like people are starting to fall asleep. So um, so we have our VPC built. We have our network. We also have our ECS cluster, which we've defined. Um, One thing to note is within our ECS cluster, all of our microservices that we're going to be deploying, they're all going to use service discovery. We use AWS Cloud Map for service discovery. So in order to enable that functionality within the cluster, I have to simply enable that through our ECS cluster object that we created in the CDK. And our domain name for our service discovery zone is service. So you'll see as we talk through our services being deployed, we'll have our Crystal backend, our Node backend. The front end simply talks to them through Node.js.service, crystal.service. So, and then in the console, we can just look. The CDK deployed our CloudFormation template. Here's our stack, and you can see all of those resources that got created all through those 97 lines of code. So that's that. I'm going to go back to the workshop and let's move on. So again, this is the platform. Now we're going to move